welcome to Let's Taco About It. Tonight is a very special night because, May is a very special month because there are 5 Tuesdays in the month of May, and I started last year in 2022. Any month that had 5 Tuesdays, I invited someone on to talk about their scrappy life. And so we've learned a lot about some of our scrappy friends, and tonight is no exception. We actually have a really fun duo tonight, and it's Katie and her Aunt Janet. So thank you, everyone that's hopping on and saying hi. You feel free to share this so that we have more of our scrappy friends watching. And also, don't forget to say hi and also, just say hi and like the live, and that way you're entered into the drawing at the end. And it is a in the feed drawing, so you do have to be present to win when we do our drawing at the end. And before we get started with our guests, I do have some quick announcements. So as I already mentioned, we have the in the feed drawing tonight. So you do need to be present to win on the live, and you must be in the feed at the time your name is drawn. So those of you that have been on before, you know how this goes. Next Tuesday is card class night, and I'm really sad that this photo does not do these cards justice. So I've been working the last 2 days on prepping these card kits, and besides wanting to, never do foil again, just kidding. They are really, really beautiful. They have bling, they have foil. So I'm calling it floral and foil. And so they're all hand foiled, all the sentiments, and they will be beautiful. I actually today, now that Barb just jumped on, I should mention it's been a week of foil. I foiled a spine for my mom for a book that she was doing as a gift, and I foiled one for Auntie Barbie. And she had me foil the spine of the book. So that is something Creative Memories can do. You can order a new spine from them. That is also something I can do for you. I can foil. That's particularly good if you ever in a time crunch, or also if you have an old album that maybe the color isn't available anymore. Although that really stresses me out because I don't want to mess that up. So anyway, floral and foil next week. So those of you on subscription, and many of you in the chat are on my card class subscription, so you'll be receiving these automatically. I did mention that I'll be doing a drawing for one of those Creative Memories lifter sticks that was part of a promo. They are awesome. And so everyone who either orders the kit or is on subscription will be entered to win the lifter stick. And that's a bonus drawing in addition to the regular $10 that I do off your next order. All right, so a couple weeks from now, project recipe. This is a picture of the project recipe. You RSVP at DaytonaAreaScrapbooking.com, then you will receive an email with a link to the PDF so that you can print it and get ready that night or set it aside for another time to do. All right. Scrappy happy hours. I had first 2 at Dunes. And of course, in February and March, I had them at Cherry Hill. So this summer, look forward to more dates at Dunes and Cherry Hill. I'm going to kind of mix it up and to look for more dates in June and July and August on those. Stay tuned for dates, and I'm going to mix it up with 8x8 albums and also card kits, not the Creative Memories card kits, and then also a little incentive if you bring someone new. So watch for all the details. I'll have them all. I'll post them and they'll be on live next week, Tuesday. All right, Sizzling Summer Crop. That one is getting full. So if you're wanting to come July 28th and 29th, both or one, then you'll want to sign up for that sooner rather than later. Still plenty of room at the August 18th and 19th Scrappapalooza. It's a 2-day festival of scrappy fun, so don't miss those events. They are at the VFW in Port Orange. All right, many thanks to those of you who have subscribed on YouTube. I so appreciate that. And you can comment right there. It's really great if you're on the card subscription and you don't have time to do the cards live, because there's playlists for all of my different Tuesdays. So there's a playlist for Let's Taco About It. You can go back and watch all those sometime. There's a playlist for Project Recipe. There's playlists for all the things. Alrighty. And just a reminder about the in-feed drawing. So if you haven't already, say hi in the comments so that the little bot picks you up and you are entered to win. All right. Well, that's all for the announcements. I told you it's going to be quick. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. So we refer to her as Aunt Janet. She's not my Aunt Janet. She's Katie's Aunt Janet. But that's how she signed her very first email to me. And she is a delight. And we're so happy to have her as part of the Scrappy family. And so here they are joining us. Altamont.
Live from my scrapbooking room.
That's right. Katie and Aunt Janet. Welcome.
Yay! Thank you.
I see an album on your lap. So as I've been plugging this Let's Taco About It for the last month or so, I have been saying that it's a multi-generational scrappy relationship. So tell us a little bit. Well, why don't you start, Aunt Janet? Tell us how you got started scrapbooking.
I've been doing it probably 25 years at least. One of my other nieces had a scrapbooking introduction where we all got together, and that was my first encounter with creative memories. Everybody was supposed to bring pictures, and you created a page. So we got hooked, and it's been downhill from there. So we have lots of albums, lots of pictures, lots of paper. My husband tells me I need a lighter hobby, but it's all worth it.
Oh, that's awesome. And so when did you, so then Katie, did you start when Aunt Janet did? No.
She brought me into it.
Right.
She introduced me to it.
So how old were you when she
let's see, back in 2001.
Oh, 2001.
Yeah. We had,
she found.
I did this album for my sister back in 2001, and I got Katie and Susie, her sister, involved in it, and we were going to do it for my sister for Christmas, and it was a secret, and they actually kept the secret.
Wow.
So the girls, this is Katie. Hopefully you can see it, with her first scrapbooking pages.
Aww.
So that was her introduction to scrapbooking, where she and Suze sat down and did their own pages for their mother. And
kept it a secret.
And kept it a secret.
We could not tell her.
Which surprised my sister to no ever loving end that they actually kept it a secret. So then they wrote they decorated these and wrote little letters to their mother to go in the album for her for a special Christmas gift.
Yep.
So that was her first scrapbooking experience.
That's amazing.
And then it all kind of spiraled out from there, because in the house that they're in now, she has a massive crop room. And she would have, as she calls it, crop till you drop weekends. So we would go over there, we would scrapbook, and I just fell in love with it. I loved scrapbooking. I loved, taking the pictures and everything and having them develop and, coming over and, making them into albums and everything.
We would start on Friday night and go till Sunday morning straight through. We had space if anybody wanted to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have some crashed all over the floor.
Mm-hmm.
My husband, Kenny, he was our houseboy. He would make us food and he would feed us all night long. Well, actually, he'd close the kitchen about 11. He'd get tired of running up and down the stairs. But we would have these weekenders.
That's amazing.
It was a lot of fun.
How old were you, Katie, when you were doing those?
I was at least 12 or 13.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But we would have a group. So there would be quite a few of us, and we'd congregate and scrapbook.
That's great. So, all right. So now fast forward. Kate, you're still, I know, Aunt Janet, you're still doing your traditional scrapbooking.
Yes.
And you finished a very special album in March.
Yes. For my brother who has dementia.
And you did that all in one weekend. That was an amazing project.
And he loves it. He gets it out and looks at it when he has problems remembering.
I love that. That is one of the powers of scrapbooking. And, we say jokingly, if it's not in the scrapbook, it didn't happen. But I always knew that I would need to have my scrapbooks as my family forgets things and I have to pull out the scrapbook and say, no, look, we did go camping that year. Whatever family argument ensues, the scrapbook can solve those mysteries. Mm-hmm. That's one of the benefits of it.
I had also a couple of years ago did one for my mother-in-law, who's 96, and she has macular degeneration, so she can't see anything up close. So we had pictures from her 90th birthday and her 95th birthday, so I enlarged them and made her an album. So it's got her children, her grandchildren, and her great-grandchildren on her 90th birthday, her 95th birthday, and then we've added on since then, so they're large enough for her to look at and enjoy.
With very colorful backgrounds.
With very colorful backgrounds.
Oh, I love that. I love that. They are such precious things to gift, and they're certainly labors of love. They take a lot of time and energy and emotional energy, physical energy, all that lifting. And then the cost. So it's amazing to give an album as a gift. I really feel like it's hard for someone who doesn't scrapbook to really fully appreciate. But other scrapbookers know when they hear about a gift given of an album, I think they understand like what an amazing gift that is. And the fact that you've taught a woman to fish, so to speak. Katie, you brought her along in the process, so now she's making her own. And Katie, tell us a little bit about your process. So you work full time and you still make time for your scrappy fun.
I do. And as you like to call it, I now consider myself biscraptual. Yeah. Because I like doing, there's still something that I love about doing physical albums, getting to touch the paper and put it together and everything. But right now I'm working on an album for a family member of mine. It's still kind of a secret right now. They haven't gotten it yet. But
is that for me? Okay, it's a secret. I won't tell. I didn't hear a thing.
But I'm actually doing that one digitally. So this will actually, when I finish that one, that'll be my first full digital scrapbook finished. And I did I like now, since I've heard about doing the power layouts and everything. So I power laid out all the pages. So I'm about a little over halfway through now. So I'm getting there. But yeah, I'm excited to give that to her. But I know like whenever my wedding comes around and I have a ton of pictures, I know I'm definitely going to be putting that in a physical album because I just want to, touch and feel the pictures and just have that physical album. So, and I've even gifted one to Wesley for our 3-year anniversary.
Nice.
So,
I remember when that one was in production.
yep.
The duplicatability of digital books is great because you put in the time, one time, and it doesn't necessarily go much faster than a paper, but you don't have the unpacking and packing and the hauling associated with it. You do have the technology part of it though. So there's good things and bad things as there are in all things. But the nice thing for some events, a digital is great because you can make as many as you need. So if it's an event where there's lots of family present, it's nice to be able to make multiple copies of it. That's for sure, because that kind of the labor associated with that when you're doing paper can be overwhelming if you had to make like 10 of them. So,
and they're much thinner.
Yes, much more portable.
Oh,
yeah, you don't have it this thick. It's about half of this.
Hey, my wedding album is 3 of those.
Yeah.
Let's see how thick yours gets.
Yeah. I made just a little 8x8 paper album for Aiden for graduation, and that's the little paper albums we've been doing at the Scrappy Happy Hours. And Aiden loved just getting a paper album again because for so many years our family books have been digital, and so he was like, "It's a real album." I mean, and it was just a little 8x8 paper album. It wasn't even what I would consider a real album. That's what I, like the book cloth album that's in your lap right now is what I consider a traditional album. But it is funny how excited he was to get like, something. I mean, a digital book is physical too when it's printed, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, what else? What's your favorite cookie? Aunt Janet makes cookies. She has brought them to events to share with her scrappy friends. What's your favorite, Katie?
Oh, that hands down, it's the double chocolate espresso. She used to we called back in college when she made them, they were called my study cookies. Because, and she would wrap them in aluminum foil so I can stick them in the freezer because she'd make me a huge batch at a time. So I could just unwrap it from the aluminum foil, stick it in the microwave for a few seconds and be a nice, warm, fresh cookie. Nice. So, yeah, that one's definitely my favorite of hers.
That's awesome. I know you both you're both memory maniacs. You both have been to my retreats, and you've already talked about your crop till you drop slumber party weekends, people sleeping on the floor. Back in the day when we used to share 6-foot tables and whatnot, I mean, we did crazy things like that. Slept on the floor and stayed up all night. Although, listen, I do have to say, props to and Janet. She usually shuts the room down, and she doesn't come. She's at breakfast too. So
yeah, she tends to sometimes open it back up.
Yeah, she's on both ends, which is a rare feat. So she makes the most of her scrappy time. That is for sure. Do you have a process, a scrappy process? Like, I know, Katie, you're working on a special digital gift book now, and you did your book for Wesley. And you'll be doing a wedding book in the near future here. And I know you fill the gaps with card making and different things. But Aunt Janet, what are you working on now? And do you have a scrappy process? Do you work chronologically, or do you just work as the spirit moves you?
Some of all of it. Some of it is I'll get my pictures out and I'll decide this is who I want to work with today, the pictures that I want to see and work with. And other times, I've already started taking pictures, working up towards Katie's wedding, and things like that. So I've already started some of the pages for that to go on my album. So, and it'll probably be more than one album on yours too.
Wouldn't surprise me.
So it just varies. I've got a lot of pictures of my great nephew who's been battling cancer, and he's almost 4. So I have a lot of pictures of him through this process that I want to make an album of just that, of him before his cancer and how he's progressed throughout it. So I want to do a separate album of that. And then we just have different family events. So as the mood moves me, that's what I work on that day.
So you're pretty much like a subject or an event. You don't keep like a chronological, but you have your like subjects, like I'm doing Katie's wedding, or I'm doing a book for this person, or
I've done both methods. I mean, I have albums that are chronological. Then I have albums that are very specific to a person or an event or something. So I've done both methods. It's just whatever I'm in the mood to work on at that time, or the most pressing, biggest pile of pictures that need my attention.
Oh, I'm glad you say that, because that is one of the things that when people maybe feel like they should start at the beginning, and when they're just starting out, and then but they're not like super excited because the pictures back then maybe weren't great quality, or it's like, do you use all burnt orange as your cardstock to match the couch, or it's hard to use Mermaid Cove paper, on the 70s couches. So people get stuck like before they even get started. And I usually encourage people, like, start with something you're excited about. If it's a trip, or, if a gift album, something that you get excited about, then you can go back and work on that backlog.
Well,
So
that's the way I started. I knew there was no way I could go back to, because I have boxes and boxes of pictures. I love to shoot pictures. And I have old albums where you just stuck your pictures in the album. But when I was first introduced to Creative Memories, I decided I needed to pick a starting point as to events that were happening right then, and work forward, and as I can work backwards, or once I get caught up, which will probably be never, go back and research through all my old pictures and organize them as to how I want to put them in albums. But you have to start somewhere. And if you're like me with tons of boxes of pictures, you'll never do anything with it, because you're sitting there going, where do I start? Just pick a starting point.
Yeah.
And just go for it.
Yeah. A little weekend cruise, little weekend getaway, camping trip, something like that is, I think, perfect way to start. Is that the advice? Like, if you could give advice to somebody that's either new or maybe stopped scrapbooking, and so many people picked it up again back during COVID. Maybe they had stopped for a while, and then when no one, when we couldn't go anywhere for for a hot minute, people started cleaning out closets, and they blew the dust off of their scrapbook stuff. And some people kind of fell back in love. But what's something that you guys, like, what's some advice that you would give to either new or stalled scrapbookers?
Well, to the new ones, like I say, just pick a starting point and don't be discouraged. Because I know I will, like I say, I'm quote retired. And I would think I would have all this time in the world to sit and do all of this, but I know I don't. So I just scrapbook as I can and go from there, and just pick your starting point, and don't be discouraged, and be excited and enjoy the moment when you're looking at the pictures, whether they're old or new, and relive the memories that go with them.
Because I'm more of a event person in a way that I like to do my scrapbooks. Like, like I have holiday scrapbooks, you know, I have the one that I got started on, my first ever one was Disney. And it's nothing but Disney trips and everything that I took with my family. And that's where I started, was, you know, just when we had our seasonal passes back in 2011. And that's what I did. I did it when we went to all the different parks and everything. So I have my Disney album, and, you know, I'll have a wedding album and such. You know, it's just kind of what I like to say is do whatever makes your heart happy, you know.
Yeah.
And buy lots of paper.
And buy lots of paper.
Yeah.
I have this terrible habit. If I'm in a place where I can buy scrapbooking paper, I have to go look at all of it. And I may not have any specific pictures in mind for that paper, but if I fall in love with it, I sometimes resurrect paper I've had for 10 years, and all of a sudden the perfect pictures appear to go on that paper. You just never know. You know, especially background paper.
Right.
Cardstock, I have enough cardstock to last till death do I part. But background paper, if it strikes your fancy, pick it up then, because next time you may have that perfect picture and you go, I should have bought that paper.
That's
I've
right.
done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy what you like. Pick out stuff that moves you.
I love it, Janet. I love it. You're telling everyone to just buy all the paper. Thank you so much. I have a wedding coming up. Not me personally, but my son's getting wedding. So
My husband is in the background, and he says, and use a credit card that has good bonus points when you're buying all that paper.
Yes, that's right. Oh, yes, Uncle Kenny's back there. You can wave, wave hello.
Yeah, the chef that was our houseboy and hauled food to us all the time.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, Katie, you kind of, you know, you were born into a scrappy family. My kids were too. I guess I was too. My mom had a scrapbook that, you know, I remember looking at growing up. So pictures were important to her and my father. So I started scrapbooking pretty young. But I wouldn't you safe to say most people your generation
Not the old timers like me.
well, safe to say you are the youngest in the room, right?
I'm pretty sure I am.
I used to be the youngest in the room. Now Katie's the youngest in the room. So we joke that she'll have to take over this gig for me. We'll have to bring in another younger person. But everyone is so online on their phone. We used to talk about, remember, like back in the old days, and like
The old days.
like, you know, that the first thing you would grab if there was a fire is like your photos. But now I've seen so many like young people break a phone, drop a phone, lose like a few years of photos, and be like, you know, they might shed a tear and then be like, oh well, you know, I'll have more pictures of tomorrow's dinner or whatever they're taking pictures of. And that's like devastating. I mean, when I take a picture, it backs up right away to the cloud. So that, you know, that if I accidentally drop my phone in the toilet, it's not gone forever, because I couldn't do it. But do you think that pendulum will swing, Katie? Do you think, or is it just like a certain group of people that, like yourself, that just know the value of a printed photo? Or is that something like, can that be taught? or are they like, forget it, we just look at our pictures on our phone, or we can go back through Instagram?
But that's half the fun, I think, in scrapbooking, is creating that beautiful background, telling the story when you journal and everything. You know, this way, if you weren't there, you know, you can leave it for your family and they can read about it and everything. Or if you give it to somebody, they can read it. Like, you know, the phone will only tell you so much. But in my opinion, with scrapbooking, and why I like to do power layouts, is because I like to tell a story with my scrapbook. Like, that's what I love. That's what I love about, taking photos and everything, is going back and telling the story about it and everything. There's, just so much more, in my opinion, to just taking pictures, like even just a beautiful sunset, like at St. Simon's, we had some very beautiful sunsets to put in there. Like, we can say we rushed from the dining hall to, take this beautiful picture of the sunset, like there's beauty in pictures, and I like printing them out and putting them down to tell a story, because just flipping through it on the phone is just like, oh, look here, but just seeing it, either digitally printed out or, on a physical, scrapbook, with paper and everything. It's just, there's something beautiful about it.
But so do you think you're a unicorn, or do you or do you think that pendulum will swing and we'll get some people, the next generation will say like, oh, scrapbooking is cool again, or we lost them, and it's just because you have always like, I have hope for, that the Bible says train a child up. Like, I've trained my children to scrapbook. Hopefully they will come back to scrapbooking. April had to make a page, and it was beautiful because she's been scrapbooking since elementary school, but she does not.
I feel like everybody's different, because Aunt Janet got my sister involved, and she's a year and a half younger than me, but everybody's different, like as far as what they want to do. Like, to me, my sister does her creativity through her baking. That's what she loves. And it's almost like, in my opinion, it's almost like we're waiting to see what people will love beyond just the screens of their phones and everything. Because for me, it's definitely scrapbooking. I love scrapbooking, card making, just creating something beautiful to give to somebody else. And for some people it may be just, look at my phone. But to me, I really don't know what will happen with this generation coming up. I'll be quite honest.
You don't?
I've seen in the comments a couple people saying that I have an old soul, I just...
You have an old aunt. That's what it
is. But I mean, I guess it all just depends on the person. I mean, I always love telling people and showing people my scrapbooks and everything. Be like, oh, hey, look at this, and if you ever want to join, let me know, or something. Or, or people like, oh, it's too much. Well, guess what? There's something called digital now.
You're so right. I mean, I sort of, asking you to to explain a whole generation, but there's plenty of people my age, my friends, that do not, scrapbook. Obviously not the ones that are at events, but I have lots of friends outside that they don't, that's not their thing. And that's you're right. That's okay. Everyone has different path. There's got to be a storyteller in every family, right?
Yep.
Somebody
there's the historian in every family.
Right. Sometimes you're elected and sometimes you're self-appointed. But hopefully you have someone to pass that job along to. So I love that you guys still scrapbook together, go away on weekends with the Memory Maniacs, and our weekend events at the VFW. It's so fun to have you there, and to have that that scrappy bond outside of just scrapbooking. It's beautiful. So thank you all. We do have lots of things in the chat, and we've got some people hanging out with us. Does anyone have any questions for Aunt Janet or Katie?
I think Faith asked, she said, how do you remember what old papers you have? Do you look through everything in your collection occasionally?
Occasionally, but in some ways I have a photographic memory for things that are very important to me. And especially if it's paper I really, really love. But yeah, periodically, like if I'm going to one of the multi-day events, rather than take every sheet of paper I ever own, I kind of thumb through and see what pictures I'm taking to work with, and pull specific paper for that. But a lot of times I just remember that I have certain paper because I like it that much.
It's one of those chicken or egg things. You said sometimes you buy that paper you love, and then all of a sudden you have the pictures to go with it. Now, my question is, because I feel like I've created those scenarios, do we create the photos that go with that? Like, we find this really pretty paper, and then the next holiday, everyone's dressing accordingly to match that paper.
Not necessarily.
I don't think you have ever held paper up to me and said, match this.
Say, oh, this would look good with your outfit. No, it just kind of works out that way sometimes.
See, it's the subconscious. I know there's someone in the chat that has dressed their children to match paper. I'm sure of it.
No, she's never done that to us.
Okay. But I love it. Yeah, it is hard to remember what you have, Faith.
But it's like a treasure hunt sometimes when you get out your paper and you're looking through it thinking, oh, I need something specific for this, and you suddenly discover, it's like, oh, it's a treasure. You just suddenly found a treasure again that's been hidden all this time. And it's the perfect piece of paper for what you have in your hand with the pictures.
That is great when that happens. And I do find that some of that has to do with, like, done is better than perfect, where, there's maybe 3 papers in your collection that would be perfect. So it's like, whichever one you come across first is like, oh, that's great. So I know that happens to me for sure.
Or even like how we'll even share papers sometimes. We'll be like, wait a second, I have something that'll go with this.
Yeah, because those of us who scrapped together for a long time will go, oh, wait, you're working on that? I have your perfect paper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we do that all the time, and that's great too, to share.
Yeah, that is a great thing about scrapbooking out and about at events with other people is, if you need just a little piece of something, or sometimes you just need someone to come over and say, hey, which green do you like better? Do you like this green?
We've done that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which one do you like better?
Yeah.
Or I'll even like print stuff out for my Cricut for you from time to time.
Yes, because you're updated and I still use the Sizzix.
Oh, and you've added to your collection.
Yeah, I did.
Scrappy friend at the last cop. Sorry, Kenny, because Uncle Kenny now. Did he have to carry it in? Oh, that's great. That's great fun. Thanks, Faith, for that question. Does anyone else have any questions for Aunt Janet and Katie? No.
It's a good thing they don't want to ask how much we've spent on paper over the years.
Well, we would never do that.
Women, we do not share
behind you
that we spend.
Well, that's true, and you never ask how old we are, or how much we weigh, because we lie about both of those
We
too.
don't. We don't actually ask about our amount of stash that we have either.
No. We just tell each other, go, look what I've got.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you go, ooh, pretty.
Oh, Susie says she remembers listening to Jimmy Buffett CDs.
Oh, yes.
Scrapbooking.
Yes. She used to come over too. So Aunt Janet had her little CD, 6-player CD player?
Yeah.
Yeah. With Jimmy Buffett, Neil Diamond. Yeah.
All kinds of tunes. Yep.
Yeah.
Rod Stewart.
Yep.
We educated them on the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I got a variety of music growing up.
Good. Julie asked when the crops are at the VFW. We just had one for Go Gray in May to benefit pediatric brain cancer for the Cannonballs for Cane Foundation. The next one will be the last weekend in July, a Friday and a Saturday, and then August 18th and 19th. And if you go to Daytona area scrapbooking.com, Julie, you can it'll bring you up to May, but you can click ahead to July, and then you'll see the crop in July on there. And then there'll also be one in September. That will be the crop for gray and gold. We'll try to break our record again, ladies. Over $4,000 that we raised in May, and 4,100. And that was it'll probably, I mean, that's just from that weekend. So that's amazing. And y'all are an amazing group of scrappy ladies, that's for sure. Oh, yes. And Nancy said her problem is remembering what's in Florida and what's in New York. That's the problem.
Mine's all in this massive chest of drawers right here.
Yeah, and I've got a room full too. And now I'm in I have separate areas. This is the studio section, and so if I'm sending Brendan in to grab something, I'm like, it's in the studio, which really just means this little area, this nook of my office. But okay, so Auntie Barbe, these are the two aunts. We got Auntie Barbe is asking Aunt Janet. Her nephew came one time to a crop, and that's what he called her, Auntie Barbe. And so that's why when you hear us calling her that. So we have, so Auntie Barbe is asking Aunt Janet, how do you categorize your paper? Or do you leave it in their collections, just in their packs, or do you separate it by color, or?
When I've got my cardstock, I try and keep it by color. It's much easier to sort through and find all your greens and reds and all the other things like that. My background paper, I try and sort it by category. Like if it's wedding, I've started collecting for background paper for Katie's wedding album. I'll sort that out as wedding, and I'll have some that's specifically birthday and celebration or Christmas, and then just general all-purpose paper. But I just kind of sort a lot of the background paper by category.
I do that. I do that too. I have a spring, summer, and different holidays, and I try to keep the collections themselves from Creative Memories kind of like that. Now we have the beachy ones or the summer ones. I'll keep them in their little bags. And then when they get down to just 2 or 3 sheets, I'll separate them into color, or separate them out that way. But yeah, it's hard. And Katie, yours is in a, so how is yours by color or subject or?
Pretty much. My top drawer has now almost become my scrap paper drawer. Because it's smaller on the top, and then I have my solid color cardstock paper, which I try to keep in color order, and then I usually do by season, so winter, spring, summer, fall type thing is what I tend to do. Or I have specific ones for oh, this will be for my Disney album, or such as that. So
start separating things by,
yeah,
since you do events, oh, this will be great for Disney, or this will be great for
for the wedding or something like that.
That's awesome.
Or I just have my random mermaid stuff too.
Stuff
which I categorize under summer.
Yeah, stuff that brings you joy.
Yes.
And now Katie's gotten into 5Ks and 10Ks and triathlons. Do you have a book of that going?
I do not yet, but I keep all my bibs, so eventually I want to.
Okay, good. I could see where that will be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Okay, Susan said,
of course, I have a mermaid section.
Yes. All right. Well, does anyone else have any questions? If not, then we can do our drum roll and our giveaway. Last call for questions. All right, let's see. I think we can both stay on and do the giveaway. All right, let's see who our lucky winner is. Auntie Barbie. Okay, congratulations, Barb. Are you still on? You just commented, so you must be still on. Let us know if you're still on. All right, while we wait for her to get back across the room to her iPad. She's probably scrapbooking right now. Barb, you won. Congratulations. Let us know if you're still on. Yay!
Oh, there she is.
There she is. Congratulations. Well, thank you so much, Aunt Janet and Katie, for sharing your story, for sharing your scrapbooks with us. You know, you showed me your first, but what is your favorite before we go? What's your favorite scrapbook you've made? Or page? It doesn't even have to be a whole book. Do you have a favorite? Is
For
that
me?
like, yeah, both of you?
My favorite. Honestly, I think my favorites. Well, that's a tough one. I just love them all because I put on all my hard work and everything. No, I think my favorite is still the one that I made Wesley and I for a 3-year.
Yeah.
Because that was like really one of the first, like, here is my heart right here for you.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah, that was actually my first album I gifted too. So yeah,
That's
that was
awesome.
definitely my favorite.
And Janet, what about you?
Probably my 3-volume wedding album. We had a lot of nieces and different ones taking pictures, so we had an abundance of pictures, and so it was probably my 3 volumes of wedding album. But the ones that I have made and given to my sister and to my brother and my mother-in-law, those are very special to me too.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Well, with that, thank you both again for all of your sharing. Thank you, Uncle Kenny, for hanging out. And
You can say hi. He wanted to watch.
yeah,
And he used to be an active participant with the food, and he carries my supplies in and out, loads the car and unloads the car. So he's a very active participant.
I need a bigger truck.
Oh, that's awesome. I know. Well, I know the feeling. My husband is very helpful with hauling my stuff too. I definitely couldn't do it without him. Looks like
Mom said I love the scrapbook you made me.
that's awesome. Well, thank you both, ladies, for sharing your heart and your love for scrapbooking with all our scrappy friends. I so appreciate it and appreciate you both. You guys are both delights to have at our retreats and our events, and I appreciate you both. So thanks
you, Tara, for everything too.
We enjoy it.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Yep.
Oh, well, you guys, you make it easy. You make it all worth it. So thank you again. And until I see you all again, you know what to do.
Say scrappy.
Scrappy. Yay.
All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Night.